Dhaka, Bangladesh. She has done her MD from BSMMU on Radiology and Imaging, CMR Fellowship from Narayana Hridayalaya, Bangalore, India, Level 2 Cardiac CT certification, Level 2 CMR certification, trained in Pediatric Congenital Cardiac CT, Level 1 Congenital Cardiac CT certification, and she is the Entertainment Secretary of Bangladesh Society of Radiology and Imaging. Now I request Dr. Nusrat Ghafoor to present her topic.
Thank you, Vidura. Just let me a few time to share my screen. Is it visible? My screen is visible now.
No, not yet.
So I totally forgot how to start sharing.
Niche screen share,
right?
Share
okay. I got this.
Okay.
Okay. I think it is visible now, right?
Okay.
Respected President, Secretary General, Joint Secretary of BSRI, my teacher, honorable panelist, Wadu sir, and fellow speaker from abroad, my other teachers, colleague, and dear audience, Assalamu alaikum. Coronary artery disease is a major cause of annual death all over the world. And screening is the important part to prevention this disease. And for that, CT coronary angiogram is an excellent tool. So next 20 to 25 minutes, I will talk on basics of CT coronary angiogram. Today, my objective is importance of cardiac CT for coronary assessment and its use in our daily practice, and also interpretation of CT coronary angiogram. So there are two coronary systems. Left coronary system arises from the left aortic sinus and divided into LAD and LCX run between the atrioventricular group. And right coronary system arises from the right aortic sinuses and run between the right atrioventricular group and gives rise to PDA or posterior descending branch, which runs between the posterior interventricular group and PLV. And 15% cases, there is third branch called ramus intermedius or RI, which arises from the left main trunk between the LAD and LCX. Dominance of the coronary artery depends on the which artery gives rise to PDA. 80 to 85% cases, PDA arises from the RCA, right system, and 15% cases it arises from the LCX. And 5% cases, circulation is codominant, that is PDA arises from left dominant system and PLV from right dominant system. But for cardiology, they give importance only on PDA. So few technical points is important for CT coronary angiogram. One is temporal resolution, that is speed of the machine rotation. More the temporal resolution, image quality will be better. And second major thing is coverage, which is very important. That is true number of slides. And if one have the 128 slice CT scanner, so each rotation, it covers 8 centimeter. So that machine needs 2 rotation to complete imaging of the heart. And after that, software join all the thing and make a complete heart. And last thing is radiation. We always try to keep the radiation as low as possible. So some vendor with advancement of machine, they put some software or change the crystal of detector to reduce the radiation dose. Before taking any machine, one should keep this important point in their mind. In coronary study, it is two parts. One is calcium scoring, where we try to see how much calcium is deposited directly in the coronary vessels. And second is angiographic part, where we try to find out, is there any blockage in the lumen of the coronary artery. And during coronary reporting, we must look at review area to find out, is there any extra coronary abnormality or extra cardiac abnormality. It is common for all radiological imaging reporting. This is a cross-sectional image of coronary artery, where when there's a atherosclerotic start, lipoprotein deposited intima and there's an inflammatory reaction, foam cell coming, and calcium deposition, plaque formation. And sometimes this plaque get rupture and causing complete blockage of the artery and produce acute coronary syndrome. But by doing coronary calcium scoring, we can get the disease here when there is insignificant disease, and treatment can start to prevent this stage. So coronary calcium scoring is a very simple non-contrast CT scan of chest, which is easily gated, and it takes only 2 to 3 seconds of scan time. And one can see, you can see how much nicely this non-contrast CT show you the calcium deposition within coronary artery. There's multiple system or software to calculate the calcium score, but most commonly used system is Agatston scoring system. And by this software, one can calculate the coronary calcium deposition in individually every vessel or in total. By seeing this coronary calcium, one can predict the future heart attack possibility. If one have only 0 calcium, so future heart attack is very less, only 1 to 2%. But with increasing the number of calcium scoring, like 400 or above, there's a significant increase the risk of heart attack, getting heart attack in future. If we look at a MASA trial, what they found that they improved the coronary artery calcium scoring in their risk score. And what they found significant improvement risk prediction of future heart attack. So by doing calcium scoring, one can get the atherosclerotic plaque burden of coronary arteries and can change the risk stratification. And sometimes it helps the clinician to get the targeted anti-atherosclerotic, that is statin therapy. And it is especially important for young patients. When some young patients get high cholesterol, they're very reluctant to take the treatment, statin therapy. So after, by doing the calcium scoring, it is easier to convince them to attend the treatment and also modify the lifestyle. And it has also important impact on next stage, like angiographic part. There's no cutoff value for doing angiographic part in case of coronary calcium scoring. But in our practice, what is see that we are not preferred to proceed to angiographic part when calcium scoring is 400 or above, because the results are not very good. There are significant amount of false positive results. But another practical important thing, it depends on the pattern of the calcium. Sometimes there's a less calcium score, like 100 or 200, but this calcium is very dense, and the position of the calcium, proximal LAD or bifurcation. So it's not good to proceed angiographic part because they interfere in interpretation. Sometimes we get high calcium, but this calcium are very thin and only wall. So they don't interfere interpretation of lumen. So it is better to see the calcium pattern than proceed to next angiographic part. Now, angiographic part, there is a multiple indication set by different international body, SCR, SCMR, AHA, and American College of Radiology. They set some criteria when we do the CT coronary angiogram. But if we summarize that, the main indication of doing CT coronary angiogram is diagnosis of coronary artery, and in post-PCI patient to see the instant restenosis. And it is very good to evaluation of coronary bypass graft and to evaluation of anomalous coronary artery, and definitely pre-operative assessment of complex congenital heart disease. But we cannot do CT coronary angiogram every patient. If a patient has severe renal impairment, we cannot do because we use contrast. And in case of asthma, it is relative contraindication because we use beta blocker. And pregnancy cannot do because radiation. And severe arrhythmia, it is absolute contraindication because we need a regular, stable heart rate. So when after doing angiographic part, when we start reporting, we start to seeing the coronary artery, origin of the coronary artery. There may be different type of anomaly, And every anomaly doesn't clinically important. There are few anomaly are clinically important, but we should mention in our report. Here, like interarterial course, this is malignant course of the corneal artery. If you look these cases, the right corneal artery arises from left side, and this passing between the aorta and pulmonary artery. And we all know that interarterial course is one of the cause of sudden cardiac death in young patients. During stress, and if you look carefully, the origin is slit-like, and this is more dangerous because during stress, this aorta and pulmonary artery get dilated and causing compression of the main vessel and produce the adverse effect on the patient. This is another clinically important anomalous artery, that is major crossing of RVOT. And here you see 3 patients, all are pediatric and tough patients. And in all 3 patients, you see this RCA coming from the left side and crossing over the RVOT, that is infundibulum. If surgeons start operation without knowing this course, there's every possibility they injure the right artery. So here CT corneal angiogram is very helpful to guide the surgeon how to they change their operation planning. And this is not a clinically important case, but after that, sometimes we asked after invasive invasive catheter angiogram. And here is a case, you see that there are multiple aberrant vessel in catheter angiogram, but they couldn't find the draining point. So they asked for corneal CT angiogram, and this corneal CT angiogram clearly predict that aberrant vessel from LED and also another vessel from RCA and from a abnormal vascular network over the pulmonary artery and ultimately drain into the main pulmonary artery. So here CT angiogram is very clearly guide the clinician where they drain the aberrant vessels. There's a multiple stages of atherosclerotic plaque formation, and they produce different pattern of plaque formation. And there is multiple plaque, different type, like non-calcified plaque, calcified plaque, or partially calcified. Different have different effect on coronary artery disease. And you see there's a curve reconstruction, and this non-calcified plaque appear as a low attenuation area with insignificant narrowing adjoining vessels. And with time, there's a calcium deposition in soft plaque and produce the partial calcified plaque. And here you see that long segment arterial calcification, wall calcification. These are relatively stable plaque. We are concerned about non-calcified and partially calcified plaque. And CT angiogram is very good to plaque characterization. And all the clinician and radiologists are concerned about the vulnerable plaque. And CT angiogram have a few specific criteria in vulnerable plaque, like their low attenuation plaque, they have a spotty calcification or napkin ring sign. So now you will see that how CT angiogram can help here. Here's a case with long segment LED disease and different type of plaque. And if you look at here, the proximal LED, there is a short segment mixed plaque with tiny calcification, that is spotty calcification. Spotty calcification means is a thin calcification less than 3 millimeter. These are dangerous. These are dangerous because these are very thin and easily can get rupture and produce complete blockage of adjoining lumen. Though there is insignificant luminal narrowing, but these are dangerous, and this type of patient needs aggressive treatment to prevent future acute coronary syndrome. Here, CT angiogram plays an important role. And the sign is napkin ring sign. What is that? Actually, these are soft plaque. And if you look at this picture, there's a short segment bulk of soft plaque, but this plaque is heterogeneous. That is, some area is more dark and rest of the area is less dark. And by doing CT angiogram and doing cross section, you can easily see this in your machine. And this white area is the adjoining lumen, and necrotic area is just attached to the patent lumen. So with only simple blood flow, this necrotic area can get rupture and cause a complete occlusion. So again, CT angiogram is very good to plaque characterize here. And third thing, that is positive remodeling. Actually, what is that? That is when part of the segment is involved by plaque, any plaque, sometimes soft plaque and sometimes calcified plaque. They cause this outgrowth of the plaque and causing local dilatation or local enlargement of the vessel. This is called positive remodeling. And in case of soft plaque, this remodeling soft plaque is also vulnerable plaque. This is one of the criteria of vulnerable plaque. So we see that CT angiogram can characterize the plaque characteristic very well. Here you see a case, this long segment LED calcification. But this patient total calcium is less, like 135 or 40. So proceed to next angiographic part. But during interpretation, you see all the calcium is deposited in the proximal LED and bifurcation area, and make it difficult to interpret underlying lumen stenosis. So calcium is not always good guide to you. And whenever you see that there's a small soft calcification and causing significant luminal narrowing. During reporting, we usually follow the CADRET system, that is coronary artery disease reporting and data system. All radiologists usually used with here the BIDAT, PIDAT. This is like this CADRET system. And some international important body, they set this criteria for easy communication between the referring physician and also radiologist or test result. And this CADRET system is standardized reporting system, and it also reduces the variation of reporting from radiologist to radiologist. So ultimately, it improves the patient management. So you see that when there's a CADRET 0, there's no stenosis, so no need to do any intervention. And if CADRET is 5, so you can send the patient for intervention, catheter angiogram. But when the CADRET 3, that is moderate disease, this patient needs only medical management, and if needed, they can do functional assessment like MP assessment. But when CADRET 4, they definitely need invasive catheter angiogram for therapeutic purpose. So one should be more careful in this area. For stent, if a stent size is 3 millimeter or above, CT angiogram is good at it. But if stent size is less than 3 millimeter, CT angiogram is not good to see the instant restenosis or ISR. Here is a post-PCR patient with chest pain, asks for a CT coronary angiogram. And you see, the stent, there is no instant restenosis or ISR, but there's a new disease proximal to the stent. So this was the cause of chest pain. And CT angiogram also good to find out the stent fracture. Though lumen, you cannot see the lumen clearly, but there's definitely stent fracture. CT coronary angiogram is excellent and a very good guide in case of post-CVT patient to evaluate the bypass graft, because intervention cardiologist doesn't need to hook every vessel every time. By doing the CT angiogram, you can see all the grafts and native vessel and anastomotic site, type of the graft, whether it is arterial or venous, and what is their course, and is there any stenosis by a single image. And you can clearly evaluate that. In case of post-bypass graft scanning should be start from the root of the neck, because we know that lima start from subclavian artery, and you see very clearly the proximal and distal anastomotic site and the course of the lima graft, and also post-graft segment vascular flow. So CT angiogram is very good. And here another case is you see there's a occluded vessel, and this is the nipple of the occluded vessel, and CT angiogram can easily find out this vessel, possibly venous graft from ascending aorta to right coronary system. So you can see the patent vessel, and also Y graft, and there is sequential graft, which is sometimes interventionists face difficulties to find out the Y graft and sequential graft. And sometimes nowadays they use two arterial graft, Lima, Rima, and there's a very complicated course, and Lima, when they use the Rima to OM, and the sequential graft to LED, then OM. So by doing CT angiogram, it can guide the clinician and as well as us very clearly. Here is another post-CVD patient with chest pain asked for CT coronary angiogram to find out the occluded blood or occluded graft. But what you see here, there's a large aneurysm with thick mural thrombus adjacent to ascending aorta, and definitely there's a connection between the ascending aorta and the blood collection. And this is possibly iatrogenic, and this was the cause for chest pain. And you know, during CVD, there is a loss of manipulation between the ascending aorta and arch of the aorta to implant the graft, and also cannulation. So sometimes it could be happen, there is remain leak, and continuous oozing of the blood and produce this type of aneurysm. There's lots of study to compare the invasive catheter angiogram and CT coronary angiogram. But what you find in this type of study, you see few cases, then you will get the point. Here, a CT angiogram showing that osteoproximal significant disease in LED. This is the left vein, this is the aorta, and this is the LED, and this is the L6. So you see that osteoproximal LED is a significant disease, but by soft blood. So sent for a catheter angiogram, and this is almost the similar findings, correlate very well correlation these two, catheter angiogram and also CT angiogram. But if you look at this case, this RCA, there's a long segment diffuse calcification. So it is interfere with the interpretation of the underlying lumen and grading the stenosis. So again sent for catheter angiogram. And what you see here, there's a two titillation in proximal and mid RCA. So I said that calcium is notorious, very notorious for us radiologists and also for cardiologists when the calcium is in bifurcation level. When there's a calcium, there's a big possibility we overestimate the stenosis grading. And here you see there's a very low calcium scoring, curved reconstruction LED, and but a dense calcification in proximal LED, and it seems there's a significant narrowing, significant underlying luminal narrowing, like moderate or severe disease. So sent for catheter angiogram, and what you see there, narrowing is not that much severe. So is there, when there is a calcium, be careful. There's every possibility of overestimation of the stenosis. Here another patient, young patient with stable chest pain, so asked for CT coronary angiogram. And what we see here, there's a significant LED disease in proximal LED and a long segment narrow LED, patent narrow long segment LED, distal LED, median distal. So sent for catheter angiogram. But when they start catheter angiogram, what they found, this is the they hook the left main and see that this is the LED and complete occlusion of the LED. And if you look at this picture, when they hook up in the right coronary artery, actually there is a retrograde flow, and the LED filled up by retrograde flow from RCA. So CT angiogram cannot see the retrograde flow or collators. This is the limitation of CT angiogram. Last decade, there's multiple studies to find out how much accurate this CT coronary angiogram to see the CAD and how improve the guidance of cardiologists. So if we summarize all the study, finally, we can say that a few points, that is 2 points is important here. One is sensitivity of CT coronary angiogram, and another is negative predictive value. So main strength of the CT coronary angiogram is negative predictive value. That is almost 100%. And so when we radiologists say that there is no angiogram or there is no CAD, so it is easier for cardiologists not to send this patient with catheter angiogram. And another thing is CT angiogram also very good to rule out this double rule out or triple rule out. Like this, sometimes some young patient come with acute chest pain, but there is no ECG change or troponin, high troponin. So they are asked for CT coronary angiogram to find out any aneurysm or rupture aneurysm of the aorta or pulmonary embolism. So this is also CT angiogram also very good to double or triple rule out. And recently, NICE guideline recommended that CT angiogram should be the first line of test to evaluate the stable chest pain. So after seeing all the slide now, how after interpreting all the images, now we put the finding in a single pages, that is reporting template. And a reporting template of CT coronary angiogram should be standardized and easy reading for radiologists and cardiologists. We should not include so many things in the report, so we get confused for cardiologists and also other clinicians. So we should start our reporting very simply with calcium scoring. If someone wants, they can put individual vessel, but it is enough to get the total amount. And then second line, we should mention the anatomy, whether it's normal or whether is there any anomaly. And third thing, we should mention the dominance, right or left. It's important for cardiologists. And each coronary artery, these three main coronary artery, LED, L6 and RC, should be reported separately in separate heading. Is there any plaque or not? If there's plaque, what type of plaque, whether it is vulnerable or non-vulnerable. And then semi-quantification of stenosis grading. We don't need to precise how much, but we can guide the mild, moderate, and severe. This is enough. But important thing is, when there is a stenosis, we should mention the length of the lesion and distal vessel diameter. This is important for clinician. And at the same time, we must look for non-coronary and extracardiac finding. That means this is the review area. We usually practice in every imaging other than coronary CT angiogram, right? Review area, what are the other findings? And we must mention this review area. And schematic diagram, I used to use this schematic diagram. It is very useful for clinician and also other radiologists. After doing this, if you just color this area, involve area, which part, at a single look, one can assume that what happened, what is going on in that patient coronary artery. And finally, we should put the CADRET system, because we know that patient run door to door with all the images. So finally, if we summarize the whole lecture, we can summarize in that way that it is very important and a good modality, non-invasive modality to see the coronary artery disease if we compare the exercise treadmill or stress echo, because we know that exercise treadmill or stress echo, when there's a less lesion, they cannot say. And it is also very good for post-CVT patient and preoperative clearance, like especially nowadays transplantation, liver transplant or renal transplant, we get the patient to clear the cardiac clearance. And cardiac CT is very important in pediatric cases, and this is totally different ball game. These are all about my lecture. Thank you very much. And I lastly want